there's no room for takers. There's no room for takers. You have to be a depositor of the relationship. So eventually you can organically withdraw because you need things. You need to be able to quote unquote take things from relationships. People need to be giving you energy. But at first you got to be in the space of giving. And then when you're around the right people, they understand the same principles and they start to organically give back to you. And there's this beautiful symbiotic relationship. And over time, it's telepathic. You just feel the energy around it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you end up learning through giving what people are only receiving and what people are willing to reciprocate the relationship.
Yep.
And then just naturally, you don't even necessarily think about it. You veer off in towards the people that are reciprocating because the people that are taking are never depositing enough for you to want to maintain that relationship.
Yep.
So then just naturally, you end up just going through with these relationships that are equal, that are...
Good?
We're good.
All right. All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Momentum Shift. This is going to be a good one. We got two Ellas on the podcast today. Ella, thank you for being here.
Ella squared,
And
double the fun.
baby Ella, my doggy. Can you see her in the thing? All right, cool. Ella, say hi. There she is, my baby girl. Ella's been in New York for 3 months while I've been on my travels, and got her back. She's so well behaved on the plane. Besides that one time, did I tell that story on the podcast?
No, you didn't tell on the podcast.
I haven't told that story on the podcast. So. All right, I'll tell it later. Remind me to tell it later. Okay. How's things been going on your end? So I don't think we've podcasted since you went to Africa, and shit went down in Africa.
Yeah.
Share with me.
It was the most incredible trip of my lifetime, I will say. I went with my family. So we started in South Africa, went to Cape Town, went over to Zimbabwe, did a ton of like safari tours and things like that. And just brought me a whole new sense of gratitude for, I don't know, just the earth and the creatures that move around us. And it's so crazy just watching these animals like in their natural habitat and comparing it to like what you see at a zoo. It's just like nothing like anything you've ever seen before. It's just so amazing and peaceful. So, the trip was absolutely amazing. And then a couple days before we left, I started to just like not feel very good, stomach hurt, whatever. And I kind of was just passing off the symptoms. Like you just never really know what's going on. But I slowly started to get like super, super sick. Like to the point where I was like screaming, crying, rolling on the floor, bawling, no matter where we were. In public, it did not matter because I just like could not hold this pain. It was like someone took knives and stabbed you in the stomach and just started twisting them. It was every like 10 to 20 minutes. So at first, we're going to the medics, we're talking to the people, the event staff, like everybody that's at these resorts, and they're like, don't worry, it's just a side effect of your malaria medication, or it's just, like general travel bug, whatever, don't worry about it. And in my brain, I'm like, there's just something so wrong.
Sure.
Like I just knew, like I felt really, really bad. So started to get really way, way sicker. Couldn't keep food down. I didn't eat for about 10 days. And the trip home was probably the worst 3 days of my entire life. Like, cause we had to go a bunch of travel, just layovers and this and that. And we had to cancel and move a flight because I could not stand up. I was in a wheelchair, whatever. We get home, we get to Boston. Finally, they knock me out, get some IVs and take my blood. And I get a call a couple of days later that I had like the most severe form of salmonella.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm still recovering from it, to be honest. I lost like 20 pounds at this point, which I kind of used it as like a kick to kind of jump right into a cut, which is kind of the goal anyways after the trip. So, funny, but not. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling better now. It is what it is. I mean, I know you've been kind of sick on a couple of your past trips too. So
I mean, never to the point of salmonella in Africa. That sounds, oh man. Were they just like disregarding your sickness at these hospitals? Was it because they just don't have the infrastructure to be able to like tell you what you have, or just kind of like, hey, this is normal in Africa? It's
just hard to know. Like when you're getting these travel medics, like they're people that stay at these hotels and whatever that come over and check on you. You tell them your symptoms and it's like, basically the 5 symptoms that could be anything. It could be a travel bug. It could be a symptom of a medication, which is what everyone told me, which was making me frustrated because in my heart, I just knew like, at one point we were going through the airport, through one of our layovers. We had a 9-hour layover, and I was like, I think I'm gonna die. Like, actually, I was at that point, I was hallucinating. I couldn't like I could not talk. I couldn't look at food. I could not look at water. It was terrible. And so eventually, and finally, I just got answers that I needed. But like to have my family there and to have them be so supportive and just kind of like drop all of their, I don't know, like nitpicking at one another and judgments or whatever. It just made me, I came home and I started to recover and feel better. And I was like, wow, I was such a bitch to them in the airport. Cause I'm like, don't talk to me. I just didn't have the self-awareness to like appreciate their help for me and just helping me get home and whatever, and all the little things that they did for me. And so I just called all of them each individually, and I was like, I just want to thank you for that. Because I felt really bad for, you know, putting a little bit of stress and friction on what is the like best trip that we've ever had, the best trip any one of us of our lives. So, you know, it's obviously not my fault, but like, you know, you still feel a little like bad for causing any of that stuff. So
would you ever go back?
Yes.
Yeah? It was that good?
It was incredible.
What's like the best moment that you experienced there?
So we spent a lot of time in the just doing these game tours. So we would go out really early in the morning and really starting in the beginning of the evening into the nighttime. So like about 6 hours a day, just driving through these big national forests or big national reserves rather. And first of all, the animals just like every 5 minutes, you're like, there's a zebra, there's a lion, there's a this, there's a that. And it was like so overwhelming because you just can't, like, it's literally nothing like you've ever seen in your life before. So it's just so beautiful. It's so hard to just like even describe in pictures or what I could even describe with words, you know, just watching these animals at peace in their own habitats, interacting with their families and things like that. And so one of our main goals one of these days was to find a pack of lions because they had a bunch of baby cubs, and apparently they don't tend to come out in these big packs often. I learned a lot about all the different animals and their patterns and whatever as we were doing this. And so we ended up following this pack of female lions through the terrain for about an hour, just watching them. And they came so like right up to us just because we were not disturbing their peace. And then we ended up coming across them later, and they were all feasting on like a zebra. Oh my gosh. Which is just like, you know, obviously is a little bit jarring, right? But it's honestly cool. It's cool to see nature happening in front of you. So, I mean, we just sat and watched them like all together, sleeping and eating and whatever for 2 hours. Just sat there in silence.
That's pretty cool though.
Incredible.
That's, you know, you get those beautiful moments to like appreciate life. Yeah. And you don't get to see that here, sadly. Yeah. That kind of brings me into just I'm almost in like my post-Europe depression right now. Because like, I don't know, man, like America is awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the most incredible countries in the world. It's probably the most incredible country in the world. But when you get to experience other cultures, you're like, wow, nothing's really that important. Yeah. Everyone else, like no one else is trying to like hustle and bustle. Everyone's like, I'm here and I'm present and I'm going to enjoy this moment. And here, the second you get back, it's even like, you don't have to speak to anyone. The energy is just rush, hurry, fucking all this shit. I don't know. I'm just,
I had the same thought process when I was there, actually. These people who live so below the means that we all don't even realize the privileges that we have and access. And I met the kindest, most patient people in these places who are dealing with hardships that none of us could really put, you know, even into perspective in our own lives. And it made me realize that my problems are actually so fucking small. Yep. So small. I worry about things that I just don't, like, that don't matter. Just don't matter. Worry way, way, way too much about every little thing, micromanaging my life. And it made me realize, like, holy crap, the world is so, perspectives are so different outside of, I guess, even just like the city that we live in too is kind of like that too. So
yeah, it's so good. Whew. I guess we should probably talk about my travels as well. Yeah. Where do we start? It was the most impactful trip of my life for sure. I know,
seriously. I mean, why don't you start from when you took off and kind of go through chronologically?
Yeah, I'll do my best to keep it chronological, and I won't go too into detail in every single space. I'm like piecing it together internally as well, just from everywhere I went to in the world.
Yeah.
But I like imagine you're hearing or learning about something for the first time about yourself, or just you're learning a new piece of information, and like that's that light bulb that comes off, like that thing that clicks for you every single fucking second for like a month. Wow. When you're just like, you see a glimpse of where you were meant to be, you can't go back. It's impossible. Like once you understand where your potential's headed, it's impossible to go back. So for me, it all started, I flew out to Madrid and spent a couple days in Madrid by myself. And I love traveling alone. I'm obsessed. I think it's a huge benefit for anyone. If you can travel alone, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, because you got to figure out logistics. You figure out how you handle different things. You just got a lot more time to think. So the first 2 days in Madrid, I was just getting a ton of steps in, walking, and then doing my best to stay off my phone. That was it. That was the only intention. It's like, all right, don't go on your phone too much. Go through the plan with Casey to not experience any jet lag, and just go walk and have as many espressos and have a freaking good old time. Madrid was just unbelievable. Just like the art. I love like that type of architecture and stuff like that. By the way, can you lower the air conditioning, by the way? It's fucking hot as shit in here. We're at my house. For anyone that's watching, this is the first time we're filming here. I actually kind of like it better, just from like the vibe standpoint. It's much more open. Do you like it better?
Mm-hmm. More space, less cords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I go to Madrid. Then my goal was from Madrid to go to Valencia for 4 days before we go to Ibiza for a week. And Valencia is where my friend Ani and Lee are. Ani is one of the most intellectual human beings I've ever met. Everyone should have an opportunity to meet Ani. He's done some of the hardest things I've ever seen in business, in life. So like the equivalent of what he's doing is the equivalent of trying to build a 9-figure company, because he's trying to build his business around exactly what he wants his ideal life to be around. And he's not willing to compromise anything. So he doesn't want to take sales calls, only wants to work X amount of hours. Right. And so he's not willing to compromise any of it. And he still has a multi-7-figure business doing that. Fully automated. And so with that is like watching him operate and going through the level of flow that he gets into is super inspiring. So it's like, all right, cool. Ani's going to be there for 4 days. Let's go hang out with him. And then one of my best girlfriends, Nikki, I've known her for like the last 6 years. We've been going on this retreat together. She was looking at moving to Spain, and I was like, hey, I'm going to Valencia for 5 days or whatever it was. And then like a month, I just like kind of like threw that to the side like months ago. And like out of nowhere, she calls me. She's like, hey, I booked my flight. We're going. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. So it was cool because it was the first time in my life where I can spend a significant amount of time with a female completely platonically. And Nikki's like she's a freaking gorgeous, amazing human, like super good energy. We vibe super well, but like strictly platonically, like just bringing our intense like friendship love to each other. And so that was like our core four that we were there. It was like the Fantastic Four. It was like every single moment of that trip was just gratitude, excitement, good energy, somebody pointing out what they're like, what they're experiencing in this moment, or just deep conversations. Like it started off the first night we go to dinner, and these two people meet us with their 18-month-old, and they're nomadic, traveling with an 18-month-old, and she's so well behaved. Part of like what I want to get into of just like you can literally build your life around whatever you want it to look like, right? Because most people was like, oh, that's really hard to build a nomadic lifestyle, being a business owner, traveling the world with an 18-month-old. I was like, yeah, but that's what you want to do. Right. So like, I'm going to be willing to go through the hard. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not attainable. That being said, Ani does something that I'll always remember for the rest of my life. It was like the most impactful dinner ever. He goes, we sit down, it's this amazing Italian spot in Spain, but it's like incredible Italian food. He goes, guys, we can sit here, have some drinks, have an amazing time, and have a really good dinner, but like then go on with our lives. Or we can really drop in and have the most impactful dinner we've ever had in our lives. And we all made a commitment to just go deep, and everyone had an opportunity to just share kind of what's on their mind, what they're dealing through, what they're feeling, some stories about their lives, and like joy, tears, sadness, happiness, everything sparked. And when you do that, especially with people that you've just met, your ability to build lifelong relationships happens in a night. Like, I solidified relationships with those people where it would take years and years to build with other people. When you're so energetically aligned with people and everyone's going through that same journey and you're willing to be vulnerable, you can take what typically takes years to build a relationship and you can do it in one night and know that like these are people that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So fast forward, we're just having the most incredible time. We're, just like, I'm thinking of it as like the Instagram reel where you look, you're like, oh, you're traveling the Spanish countryside with your best friends in the world, listening to the coolest music of all time. And like, we're driving, I'm driving this awesome little Mercedes. We're listening to the most awesome music, just vibing, having nowhere to absolutely be besides just chilling in the countryside. And you almost don't even want the drive to end because of how much fun we're having. That was my entire experience in Spain. You're just like living life with the best people. And so it was for the first time in my life I was able to truly like bring presence to these moments, and like all the emotional work that I've been doing has been paying off big time because I was actually feeling the emotions. I didn't have to manufacture what my experience was looking like. I actually felt everything that was going on. I'm rambling a little bit. I could pause there if you have any feedback or questions on that, and then we'll go deep into kind of some of the stuff I wrote down on like what I'm learning and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to just comment on presence is a skill, and yep. I know we've been talking a lot about it with you, and your ability to tap into that in some of these environments is something that you haven't been able to do before. It's something I struggle with a lot. What changed for you?
I think something hit me because, like you said, presence is a skill, and the only way that you obtain that skill is through silence. You can't do it any other way. You can't work your way to being present. It just happens through doing absolutely nothing. So something that really hit me is one, when I just completely decided to get off my phone, you start to get hit with downloads that like have always been there, but you just haven't been listening. Right? Like there's a whole rhythm of the world that's going on that like we have no control over. This is God's rhythm. And so like all these ideas and things are floating out. And it's up to you to actually like tune your antenna to listen to them, to then write them down, conceptualize them, bring them to life. And I think a lot of times we don't even have the wherewithal to do it because we're so busy. So what it started to realize is that like the enemy, which in my opinion is the devil, Satan, whoever want to call the enemy, he doesn't even need to destroy you. All he has to do is keep you busy. That is his form of destroying you, especially in the Western world. And so once I started to realize, I was like, okay, busy is the enemy. And I've been busy for the last 6 years. Well, for literally my whole life. Like we've all just been busy. Yeah. And so like, I'm like, and as you guys have seen just being around me probably of late as well, anytime someone says busy, I'm always like trying to go a little bit deeper, correcting, like, why are you busy? Does that actually make you happy? Is like, and there's times where you have to go through that. But when I conceptualized that busy was the enemy, I was like, all right, cool. The combating to that is simply silence, journaling, writing, slowing down. So when that hit me, all the downloads started to come that I've been looking for. Every little answer to everything just started flowing through me. And I started to understand that God doesn't talk to you through words. God talks to you through feelings. And the only way that you can feel feelings is by slowing down and actually having the wherewithal and the self-awareness to actually conceptualize those feelings. Yeah. So then all that stuff started to flow. And you can't turn back once that happens. And then when you're around people that are on a journey that have, like they've been on this journey for much longer than I have, it's like my 3 spiritual mentors that I had around me is like these people collectively probably charge hundreds of thousands of dollars for their time, and I'm just chilling there as best friends with them, being able to express how I'm feeling and get their feedback, and then be able to articulate like, hey, here's exactly how I've dealt with this and all that type of stuff. So I was getting like this massive level of mentorship. And I started to think about every single moment, how can I kind of like sip it like a drink? This is what came to me at the time. Like I'm standing there, at this point, when this idea came to me, I'm standing there, I'm in Ibiza. And we're at this dope Airbnb in Ibiza, and I'm overlooking this amazing, beautiful ocean or whatever, the sea, whatever it is. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to gulp this moment in. I don't want to take it all in at the same time. I just want to like sip it. I just want to enjoy every single moment like a freaking awesome coffee. Yeah. And I had a lot of coffees in Spain. And then all that just started to really flow, and like you just create a lot of space, and it sounds so like icky, especially for somebody like myself who's always been a busy bee, someone who's like always just tried to fill in every space I have with work. Right. Everyone talks about like, oh, you need to create space. You need to give yourself some time. Like, fuck space. Like that sounds so like funny. It's like liberal. It's almost as someone like, yeah, space. Like, oh my God, that's gay. Yeah. But then when you start to create space, you start to tune your antenna in to what God's actually planning for you. And then you start to be able to actually communicate with him. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that was definitely huge for me.
That's amazing. That really is such a special transition that you're able to have in these moments. And so from this experience that you had, how are you going to continue to bring that into your everyday life?
Sure.
Because I feel like I know for myself, and as you mentioned before, this constant need for stimulation, right? For myself, am very much addicted to stimulation in that sense. I'm addicted to the stress and the work and being busy. I'm working on it as much as I can. But yeah, I guess want to learn from, your experience too of what do you take from this? Like you come back from this amazing trip and you've been present and you've had all these things. Like how do you then take that and say, okay, well, I can't do this for 4 days straight and I can't necessarily manufacture those same conversations or be around those same people or, find that same moment. So how are you finding that now?
Sure. Well, to your point, I'll actually correct you for a second because I can, right? It's just much harder and I have to make the changes necessary. So then what we did tactically was like, hey guys, this is the best experience we've all had. And I'm speaking of I had a great experience the entire time. Those 4 days in Valencia were just different. They were just a different moment. And we all felt the same way. And so we're like, hey guys, this is the best 4 days all of us have collectively had. And we've all had some really freaking good days with really good people. We're going to plan a trip every year. It's a mandatory trip every single year. So we already started planning next year's trip. So that's like, I'm already immediately building and designing my life around those types of things. Because the tactical thing that I had to do was like, all right, that's it. I can't go back. I know exactly, I'm closer to my purpose than not. So I need to continue to explore this before the busy gets kicked back in. So I started to get very ruthless about what my priorities are in this season. Anything that's not a priority in this season is a no. That's it. It's simply that. It could be a great opportunity. It could be a great relationship to build or anything. Right now, it's a no. And so that's what right now I'm doing is just creating space. That's literally all I'm doing. I within reason, stop taking meetings, going on a digital detox every weekend. It's like my own little digital sabbatical. So after this podcast, after our meeting with our internal team, you won't be able to reach me for the rest of the day. I'll be getting some work done because there's a little things that I have to wrap up with loose ends and stuff. But what really hit me was like, I got a dose of what I know my life is supposed to look like. So I have to go correct all of the little bottlenecks that I've created here because I'm still an entrepreneur and I still love my business. I'm not going to quit and radically shift this thing, even though like those thoughts flew through my head. It's like, am I really building something that I want? All those types of thoughts flow. But there's a lot of responsibility, the people I'm responsible to at the same time. So how do I continue like reverse engineer the exact business, life, spiritual world, everything that I want to create by design? And you can. It's just really hard. But the other alternative is not doing it, which is significantly harder long-term because you know what's attainable and you're not willing to go for it. And especially as a man, you like lose respect for yourself. Energetically, your female that you're around, your significant other loses respect for you because you're not chasing your dream. So I was like, you know what? I'm done chasing anything that's material. I'm like just going to continue to align with what my purpose is. And, I'll talk to you on the back end of this podcast, create a little bit of open loop for this one is my conversation with God on the plane. I had a full-on conversation with God, like a legit, like full-on dialogue with God. And I wrote it down and I'm closer to where I need to be than not.
Get into it. I need to open it.
I think so. There's just a lot of stuff that happened in between there that allowed me to understand it. But I mean, just to give you a little highlight, and let me just make sure I have a little bit of my notes there. So, I'm on the plane from Ibiza to Barcelona. So we're going from Ibiza to Barcelona, then to Porto, Portugal, which is like the best place on earth. Porto, Portugal is like near and dear to my heart. And I go from Valencia to Ibiza. Valencia is like, the reason why I scheduled all of this itinerary is because I had to be in Ibiza to speak at an event. And so I was like, before we go to Ibiza, which is like this crazy party thing, we're going to go meet with 30 people. It's going to be a great time. I need to schedule some like downtime to like down regulate my life. Little did I know that Valencia trip was going to be the most exciting thing for my life. But then we go to Ibiza and just like shit just continued to flow. Just amazing, amazing, cool things with really good people. We did some partying as well, which is a really good time. And then I'm just like on a wave. I'm like the vibe right now. Like I'm riding this wave of energy, not crashing at all. I'm bringing the energy to everyone. And I'll talk about that as well. Those are some notes I have. But then I get on this plane ride to Barcelona. And it's like a 45-minute plane ride, so it's not that much. But I put my headphones in, and I'm like trying to sleep, but I can't because thoughts are just flowing. Everything's flowing. So like I'm sitting there, head against the window, boom, pop up right. Head against the window, boom, pop up right. Like constantly. So I'm like, you know what? God wants me to be awake right now. Let's talk. So this was like my reaffirming moment for me. It was so powerful. It was just flooding of feelings where I'm just like, all right, God, I'm writing down, God, what do you want to talk to me about? And before I start to think about it, I'm just continuing to writing. That's the flow that's happening. There's a really good book called Conversation with God, which is like wildly powerful. It's kind of, I've read it the week before. So it was like, I was starting to understand how to have that conversation. So what I felt like he was telling me, this is what I was hearing and feeling was like, yes, son, I'm proud of you. You're closer to where you need to be than not. I'm feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude. He keeps telling me like, answer my calls, continue to answer my calls. You're doing the right thing. You're slowing down. Slow down and hear from me. So that's exactly what I kept hearing. Slow down and hear from me. Slow down and hear from me. And slow down does not mean like, your life is just like the slowest paced thing. I'm a fast dude. I just talk really fast. Everything that I do is like urgency, speed, which has served me really well in my life. But how do I slow down to know that what I'm doing is in alignment with what God wants for me? So for the first time in my life, I felt this overwhelming sense of joy that I was making God happy. I was like, wow, like I'm making God proud. And there's no one in the world that you can be more excited to make proud than God, in my opinion. Yeah. Even though like you don't have to, like that doesn't even have to be your mission. So I wrote that down. I was like, there's no better place to be than doing your best to make God proud, because it's not about whether you think you made him proud or not, but it's absolutely knowing that you gave it all by doing your best to follow his vision for your life. And I think even if you're like 50% of the way there, that's a lot further along. That's really all where you need to meet God for him to create enough space to like just flow your vision to you. So what I've come to find is that like through that process of doing my best to hear from him, that's where I found myself the most. That's where I experience feelings, and that's where I'm doing things and I'm creating a lot of self-awareness around, nope, this doesn't serve me, or yes, that serves me, more of that, more of that, more of that. It has nothing to do with if this thing makes me money or if this thing does any specific outcome besides makes me feel good, because I know if I'm feeling good, that comes from God. So that to me is the process of becoming. When you're finding yourself in that process, you are truly transforming into who you're meant to be, because you're subtracting everything in your life that isn't actually you. Yeah. And I think that's the end goal at the end of the day. That's the result. That's the reward that you attain. It's not the actual, there's nothing on the other side of it. That's the actual reward. Yeah. So for me, that was just freaking, oh my gosh, it was overwhelming for sure.
I'm just like internalizing everything you just said. I think, for a lot of people hearing that, for me, it honestly was emotional for me to hear, your story right now, because of these are things that I desire so much in my life, right? I aim to, bring a little bit more of that clarity and presence in my life. And I think it's important to go back down from where you are and to meet me where I'm at right now, into the action step of like first creating silence to, be able to listen, I think is like a great first implementation step for anyone, meaning myself and whoever is also feeling the same, overwhelmed with the desire to want to be closer to God, the desire to want to gain clarity in who you are and what you want out of life and what you want to do and who you want to be. And I think a lot of people, and myself again included, struggle with aligning who I want to be with what is my career path, like what are the certain places that I want to be, the things that really don't matter at the end of the day. Not how I want to feel, what is my overall purpose in my life? How do I serve other people? How am I making the world a better place? Whatever these things are that, you can leave this earth knowing that you have made an impact and you've actually created something that will transcend, after this life. Those are overwhelming things to want to achieve when you're at this confusion step, right? Maybe where you were at prior.
I'm still there. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I think with your faith and with being present even in all these things that you're talking about, it's a consistency. It's something you have to do consistently, right? It's something you have to continue to work to bring God in. You got to continue to work on creating more silence. You have to continue to self-audit and say, okay, am I still removing things? Am I still removing things? You can make that decision today, but then you've got to do it again tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And I've even noticed with myself that when I'm not making time for God, whether that's, physically going to church, which is sometimes here and there, try to be as consistent as possible, or it's spending time with my Bible, whatever it might be, whatever is, for whatever day. When I don't have that because I'm just too busy, quotes, I notice I'm more anxious. I notice that I lack general direction in my day, right? Oh my gosh, my head's all over the place. How do I gain clarity? How do I move in the right direction? Versus when I take the time to do that, especially in the morning or the beginning of the day, my life path feels so much more clear, where the action steps that usually cause me the most amount of anxiety, I've got to do 20 things today, suddenly those things are no longer stressors because they're little things that you're passing to your greater goal. You're able to look, 20 miles down instead of, right those 5 feet in front of you. That's kind of what I'm working on at the moment.
Well, it's because when you feel in those good spaces, it's because you have more clarity, right? It's because you're actually giving yourself some space to understand hey, this is actually a little bit more aligned with what my sole purpose is, which is what God wants for you, right? And so for me, the way that I conceptualize is there's an antenna, right? When you're at your best, comparatively speaking, when I was just walking you through my trip in Spain, when I'm at my best, that antenna is sticking straight up. It's tuned perfectly and calibrated right there when God's exactly trying to talk to me. And when you have those moments, because there's a practice. I don't have those moments. I've way less of those moments than I do more of them currently in my life. That you gotta start. You just find somewhere to write it down. Nothing has to be perfect. Just write it down. Just write something down or just sit and listen. Because that's what when you're tuned in that much, that's where all the ideas start flowing. That's where all the impact starts happening. Every single thing that you're looking for is happening in those spaces. So when you're busy, that antenna starts to just curve down more and more. The station gets tuned less and less because you're so distracted the entire time. Right. So you're feeling less, and you have no ability to feel inside of the space of constant busyness because you don't care about your feelings in that moment. Because you're I'm mentally tough. I'm just going to keep pushing past this. We got to get this task done. And there's moments for that. But the reason why I've come to find that I've been so quote unquote burned out is because I have no idea why the fuck I'm doing what I'm doing when I'm busy half the time. Yeah. Because when I step back, I'm oh, this is what I want my life to look like. And I would literally not change one single thing about this exact moment. So why the fuck am I stressing about all these other things if it's not that hard to attain what I'm obtaining right now? Right. It didn't cost me that much money. It didn't cost me that much time. It cost me sitting here and accepting the fact that everything I need is right here. Right. And that sounds so cliche, but until you experience it and give yourself the awareness to actually sip that in like a drink, like I was talking about, things change. And for me, I can't go back. Once I know something to be fact, I can't go back on it, or else I know that I'm just going to squander my purpose. So that's the point. That's where I would encourage you to just constantly evaluate at what cost am I doing this for, right? Yeah. there's a time and a place to continue to grind, and there's nothing wrong with the space of working a lot and trying to achieve. But how much different would it look like if you did it from flow as opposed to force?
Yeah. Yeah.
And take it from me, and like I shouldn't be anyone's idol in the life or in business or anything like that, but I've done it through force, and it's gotten us to a certain point. But when you start building from flow, you start to notice like, hey, you can work less and create a lot more results. And there's a sense of purpose that's being brought into the business, that the business starts to create its own little life itself, and the business starts flowing as well. And you don't have to put as much into it to get the most output as well. So it's just been a significantly more effective way to build, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think about what you had just said about finding these periods of flow a lot, because I can reflect back and think about specific periods in my life, specifically during when I started my first business back in college. I had this basically full year of complete and utter just joy and peace and excitement for what I was doing, and just total flow. I knew what to execute on. I knew all of the things that I wanted to achieve, and I was just excited for all of those things. And then as my life path changed, as anyone's does for whatever reason, business ventures change, career paths change, life, goals change, you fall back into, you don't just get right back into a flow of knowing exactly where you're going. You know what I mean? It's not just a switch. And so I've had moments and periods of that as of more recent than I did maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago. But yeah, curating that flow environment, right? Like whether it's your daily habits and your tasks and what the things that you can do to actually bring you into like a creative space, or what makes you energetically, your best self, or whatever that might be. I've been working really hard on trying to bring a lot of those aspects into my life so that I can continue to create that feeling of, just, flow. You know what I mean?
I think all it takes is awareness.
Yeah. And
awareness is giving yourself some time, because you need some time to evaluate, right? So it's like, for me, this has been the formula, and it's been a lot of it effective. Go through life, give yourself time to actually conceptualize what's going on. So Rick Rubin talks about this in The Creative Act. It's really good. So the first thing he does is he actually allows himself to live the moment. Then if he wants, then he reflects on it. So 1, live inside the moment. Don't try and pull your phone out. This is why I laugh at anyone that pulls their phone out at the concerts and stuff like that. It's like, be there. Right. Be in this moment first. And then if you have something you want to take away, evaluate it. Create awareness around it. Journal about it. Write about it. Whatever that looks like. So for me, that's the principles that I started to live by. Live in this moment. If I enjoyed it, self-awareness, boom, write it down. This is what I enjoy. If I didn't enjoy it, this is what I don't enjoy. And so you start to just like, yes, no, throw that out, keep that in, all that type of stuff. And it's a constant cycle of that. And then you're like, okay, cool. Let me eventually sit down and take stock of these things that are really bringing me joy. Those start to become your non-negotiables in your life. And then you start to build a life around that. And it's like, okay, cool. I don't care about these commitments that I've made prior. I don't care about this business that I thought I was building. I don't care about all these different things. This is what makes me excited. This is what I think is making God proud. I'm going to go recalibrate. And I don't have to like radically shift everything at the same exact moment. But let me just make one slight tweak, right, and then the next slight tweak. And then things start to align and click for you. It's not a perfect outcome. Yeah. It's not at all. And it's a constant iteration. But the other side of it is just going through life numb, right? And not addressing it at all, which totally is like, that's, once you're understanding that there's so much more potential, you can't. You just can't. You won't be numb, because it's not like, you won't even be able to experience numbness, because it's going to be depression, because you know what's on the other side. Yeah. I almost envy people that don't even know what's possible, because they're able to just stay numb and aloof to it. I don't envy them, because there's so much more obtainable for everyone, but it's hard. It's very hard to be a leader. It's, and you don't get a choice. You are a leader. You are a massive leader, and you're an incredible young woman. So.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I ask these questions. First of all, I appreciate everything you said. Selfishly, I ask these questions, but I think where the things I'm feeling and the experiences I'm having in comparison to, these greater understandings and accomplishments that you've gone through, I think is probably a similar place to a lot of people that we are trying to reach, like in this podcast, and why we even started something like this, or why you came up with this concept in the first place. Not to talk about why we started the podcast and kind of bring that conversation into it, but I think it's really important because for me, I feel like, maybe a little bit further along, but that type of person that would want the information that you're sharing, and so asking the questions that are vulnerable, or, kind of, just speaking from the younger entrepreneurial mindset, or, person that, you once were and where I'm currently at is so beneficial, not only for me, but for, the people that we're trying to reach here. And
that's why I'm proud of what we're doing, because the only lens that I'm creating from now, this was a download that I got in Spain, and this is what I'm living my life by. These are two really large macro things in my life that they're the only goals. They're the only lens that I'm looking through in this exact season. Maybe it'll change, and I'll share if it does. But everything else takes care of itself if these two things are being hit. Number one, does it come from God? Is what I'm doing coming from God? Is what I'm saying coming from God? And the only way that I know if it comes from God is if I create enough space to actually feel good about it and feel my emotions. So if I know it's coming from God, that means tactically I've created the space that I've been looking for. I have enough time to think. So now my business is doing well because I'm thinking more. I'm not always on meetings. I'm not as busy. I'm probably dialed in with my energy. So all the little micro things are taking care of themselves, and my emotions are in check. So all of the little boxes are checked off because I'm focusing on that one macro thing.
Right.
So you don't have to get so dialed into the micro because you're focused on the macro. Then the second lens is, would my 22-year-old self appreciate this piece of content? If I'm creating, I'm only creating from a lens of, would this help my 22-year-old self, or myself in high school or college, get to where I am faster or not? I don't know why I'm so passionate about that, but this is the lens that I'm thinking through, and it's something that I've been conflicted with because it has nothing to do with any of my business. Like I was just writing about that today, is like, I feel so conflicted because my messaging is so confusing on Instagram and stuff. Is like, hey, we have this brand that we're looking to build in the financial space and all this entrepreneur space, but all I want to do is just talk about like my 22-year-old self and feelings and like how to build a purpose-driven business when you're not doing it, all this type of stuff, which makes me no money, but it makes me so excited.
Right.
And so I'm hedging that because the excitement ends up pouring into my other ventures, which makes me excited. So
totally.
Those are the two lenses that I'm thinking through, and that's the only thing that I'm creating from. So that's why I'm super proud of what we're doing, because I think we are serving our younger selves a lot in this space, and I always want to make sure that part of a huge reason as to why I think it's important for us to have these podcasts, specifically like these solo ones with you on here, is to continue to keep us on the topic of it, because we can rant and ramble around all these other things that are going on, but we need to stay focused on what is the actual messaging that we're looking to bring. So
yeah, I think we're doing a good job of that,
Definitely doing our best, for sure.
And to go back to what you said about conflicting pieces of your, maybe forward-facing content and whatever you are putting out on social media, your business is this one aspect, and then you've got, this other side that you're bringing out through the podcast clips, the long form, whatever it may be. I think it's not conflicting at all, because the most impactful personal brands, if you really think about the people that you follow, the people that you genuinely look up to, the people that truly, when you are talking to someone on the street, you think, oh, you want to mimic this person, you want to quote this person. These are the people that you really take their words of advice and you put them and implement them into your daily life. They are people that are multifaceted,
yep.
Right? And you're showing all the multiple facets of who you are. And through those things, you start to garner an audience of people, whether they're people that end up working with you or not, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's the way you're projecting on social media gives you more lenses. It gives you more angles, and you're not just someone who's pushing business. You're not just someone who's talking about financial or tax strategies. Now you have all of these facets where people feel more connected to you. They feel more related to you. they want to have conversations with you. It opens up the door for more opportunities because you're connecting with people on a deeper level than just sharing tactical information.
Yeah, that's so good. It's a good reminder. And like, we're going to build a community when like this thing's going to blow up, and we're going to build a community around it, and we're going to have really awesome platform for it. It's going to be unbelievable. And I'm just so inspired by, like, a key motivator for me has been when this brand blows up and people watch this and they meet me in person, that they're not let down at all. And their reaction is like, wow, is exactly as authentic as he portrays himself, if not more, in person. And I think we need more of that in the world. Yeah. And we can probably like make this more entertaining, or I can find ways to like clip farm and do all this stuff just to go viral, but I'm not willing to compromise my authenticity around it. So now it's like this beautiful challenge of how do I weave in how we build a following, because we need to make sure that we know like the strategy behind like building the YouTube algorithm, all that type of stuff, while still staying super on brand at the same time. That's been the fun part. Yeah. So that forces me to go deep into becoming a professional at this craft and studying. That's what I admire and appreciate about Champ. We had him on the podcast yesterday. He's a student of this game, a serious student of this game. And that's the next level for me, is going deep into what are the best interviewers doing? What are the questions they're asking? How are they showing up? Who's building the best communities? All that type of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot that's hit me. I mean, I have a lot of stuff that I can share. I don't know which way you want to take it, but there's so much. There's so much. Like I had a lot of downloads. Some of the notes I gave you is like, it's probably like a quarter of what actually I wrote down. But I think I highlighted and brushed on the Ibiza side of things, and I'd like to go in there because a huge thing sparked for me while we were in Ibiza. I hit this moment towards the end of the trip, and I said, every time we went somewhere, let's say we went to dinner or anything, there was 2 tables because we were a huge group. Right. And I said, why is every time I'm sitting at a table, I'm at the fun table? And I'm like, damn, imagine, like, we used to have a running joke, like, imagine being at that table. Right. And I started to realize the reason why I'm at the fun table is because I am the vibe that's making the fun table. I was on a different wave. And I used to I didn't want to bring that concept into being because I thought it was ego driven, but it's not ego driven. This is just fact. I was on such a high wavelength that I was vibrating everyone else around me to match my vibe. And so this hit me like a ton of bricks, where I was like, I bring the energy wherever I go. I'm not going to start outsourcing it to other people. And when I need to, when I don't have that energy, I'm going to communicate my needs to my people, the people that I know the best. They know when they need to bring the energy to match it so that I can raise my vibration. Right. That's the best type of friendships, when you guys start to communicate what you guys need from each other. And then you don't even have to like say it. It starts telepathically happening. It's like, oh, Antonio's got a little bit of lower energy. I got to bring up the energy, or vice versa. So those trips are always awesome because like I'm just in this massive wavelength of just locked in. I'm like closest to my authentic self than I've ever been. And everyone's just feeding off that energy. We're dancing, we're singing, all this type of stuff. It was a freaking blast. And so like what I made the statement, I was like, I am the vibe. That is like, you create the vibe. You don't wait for anyone else to do it. If you feel like the vibe is low, it's because you're not bringing it. So that was a huge piece for me.
I love that. And you have like, I've had these moments where you're surrounded by the right people in the right environment. I can think of like 5 pinpointed experiences in my life right off the bat where like you're in this moment with these people, you're having certain conversations, you're just in an environment where your dopamine is just like through the roof because your energy is just like so beyond what you usually are on a day-to-day basis. Like you notice that significant shift and you end up leaving it almost at a deficit where like you're on your way home. I get these after like I go to Gymshark events, for example, where I'm meeting all my other friends from all over the country through the industry, meeting people that follow me or that, you know, I've worked with even that have been my clients in the past, whatever, just being in these environments. Or even like at the dinner that we had in Miami back last year when I went out with you and you connected me to some amazing people in the entrepreneurial space. Like these are pinpointed moments where I'm like, holy crap, like I feel my vibrations so much higher in this experience. And it makes you walk away and think like, what was different about the environment that made me feel that way? And how can I then take how I felt and what I was doing and how I was interacting with people and maybe my facial expressions, or, you know, maybe not to get all technical with it, but like, what was I doing? What were the things that were happening around me that made me feel so happy to be existing in that moment, and nothing else mattered? You know what I mean?
No, and then it's like, once you understand that, then it's up to you to design the actual environment and the lifestyle. And you can. That's the whole point of this thing is you can literally design it by design. You just choose to do it, and then it happens.
Right.
You just focus on the what, and then God will figure out the how. Most people are trying to figure out the how before they figure out the what. And then the second they figure out the what, then they go deep into trying to figure out the how. And it's like, dude, just get super aligned with what you're looking to accomplish, or what you're looking to feel, or where you're looking to go. Everything else starts to take care of itself once you declare that that's actually a thing. But be super, super careful with what you're saying, because it's going to happen whether you like it or not once you declare it.
Yeah.
So here's what I wrote down. I'll read directly from it, because this is not ChatGPT created. This is exactly what I wrote down around like how I conceptualized what I just talked to you about, like what was specific, what I felt in that moment. So when you do so much work on yourself, you start to become energetically attractive. Everyone starts to come through you like a magnet. People start to gravitate towards you. And so what you end up doing is you provide a safe space for people to be their authentic selves around you. And when people are their authentic selves around you, they raise their vibrations as well and start to do that with other people. So that there's like a quantum effect there. So relationships that can typically take years to build happen in literally days because of the amount of alignment, because everyone's working so hard on themselves that you understand exactly where you're at, you match it. I know I'm in a safe space. I know I can be super vulnerable. You and I could take 3 days to build a relationship that's taken me 10 years to build with someone else, because that person was just so guarded.
Yeah.
That is quantum. Relationships are the only things that are quantum. Everything else is virtually one-to-one. So all you have to do, if that's something that attracts you, is you just need to become the energetically attractive person. Right. How do I become that energetically attractive person and stay in a space of service to others? And then I don't waver, even if they don't reciprocate. Because here's what's going to happen is when you decide to live a life according to these principles, you're going to start to feel very uncertain about it, because 99% of the people that you interact with to start are not going to reciprocate, because they have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Literally no idea. Everyone's like, you're going to try this with your friends back home, and no one's going to be like, oh, you're weird, dude. You're on drugs, or just like, why are you trying to live this type of life?
Right.
You start to put that energy out in the world, and then you find other people that start to energetically align. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So like the more vibes that you're putting out, the more people start to gravitate towards you, and then that bigger that tribe expands, and then you start to create a lot deeper relationships a lot quicker. Yeah. So you have to stay the course, because it is so hard in the beginning, because you're going to be like, this doesn't work. It's going to take years. I'm just be completely honest with you. This is the long game, because it took me 6 years to find this thing out, even though I was starting to adhere to it very early. But the second you can start to understand the science, you can start to manufacture that a lot quicker. So
yeah.
Have
you ever read the book, You Are a Badass?
No.
That's your next book.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite books I've ever read. It is about how to operate on a high frequency and how to be aware of the people that are operating on low frequencies around you, and understanding when you are operating on a high frequency that you automatically attract these other high frequency individuals, and you immediately reject all the people that are operating lower than you. They're just not on the same level as you. And it's, I could try to explain what that means, but it's your frequency.
Yep.
When you're operating at that level, it takes work to build that, or to tune into it, or tap into it, or maybe change the way that you're feeling in that specific moment. But that book really made a big impact on my life, because it made me realize that I was only, when I was at the time I was reading this, I was like, I'm only operating on a high frequency when it's convenient, meaning when I'm put into a specific environment that, generated that experience for me, but I never took it and then learned from it, learned how to recapture it, and then project it on a daily basis, regardless of what environment that I was in. It's a great book. It's an easy read. I highly recommend.
Love it. Well, you inspired me to read it. That's awesome. This is to add to that. This is where I think it's important to be fucking ruthless with who you give your energy to and who you allow to give energy to you, because it's contagious, right? So like if you're around bad energy, you have to cut it out like it's cancer. Literally. Like, and this is where I want to be very loving to all people. I want to accept others, but like if you're going to fuck with my energy, bye. You're out. You're out of the tribe. You can't be in the tribe. We'll give you the opportunity to go learn and come back to the tribe, but you can't be in the tribe right now, because when you bring my energy down, I can handle it personally. But the people around me are losing out because they're not getting my best self because somebody else is bringing negative energy to that. Totally. So creating so much ruthless protectivity around your energy, your tribe's energy, the people that you're letting in. That doesn't mean to be guarded. That means I'm open to giving every single person I meet an opportunity to prove that they belong energetically in the tribe. And they're there until they prove that they're not. But sadly, a lot of people they're not willing to do this work, and they're not willing to get vulnerable. They're bringing a lot of like egotistical, selfish things. Like I'll keep names out, but there's this one girl that she's been going on this El Salvador trip for the last 6 years that I've been going. And I finally put a stamp thing around. I said, guys, we paid good money to be on this trip. We all travel the world to be around here. I'm not going. I'm like a veteran on this trip. So I'm like, I am not going if she comes. It just is what it is. If you like, this is a business. If you want her to come, you can. I just won't be there.
Yeah.
And like 99% of other people said the same thing. And she's no longer coming. Yeah. Because we have to be ruthless around your tribe. That doesn't mean we're not going to give her grace to give an opportunity to grow and then maybe come back. But right now, if I'm going to go somewhere, and especially spend my time, energy, and money to go somewhere, I'm going to do it and be in an environment that I know that is going to make me a better person, so I can give my best self to other people there. Because even though it's my 6th time returning to that retreat, it's other people's first time, and they deserve a badass experience, because the experience that I got the first time was life-changing for me. So they deserve somebody like me to help give them those life-changing heart spark moments. So that's the spaces that I'm trying to create. And I used to be very careful with saying those words, like creating space, because I was like, that just sounds so icky. It just sounds so weird, but it's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. This is incredible moment when we were at the end of our Valencia trip. It's me, Ani, Lee, and Nikki, and we're at Honest Greens. If you've ever been to Spain and you don't go to Honest Greens, you're fucking up. Honest Greens is the best restaurant of all time. It's a chain. It's the most ethically sourced, amazing food of all time, but it's like my happy place. And so we're sitting at Honest Greens, and we're recapping the trip, and we're like, hey, what was some of our people's favorite moments? And it's like pretty emotional they all took turns pouring their hearts out to me of how appreciative they were to me. Of like Lee was like, I just appreciate how intentional and observant you are of people, and the little things that they don't notice about themselves, you take time to appreciate them with. And I didn't even notice that about myself. And then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I mean, I take a lot of time to just tell people how happy I am for them, or just appreciative of them, of these little things. Yeah. And then Nikki shared with me, it was like a wild moment. She was like, I've never in my life felt so safe around someone to be myself without that person ever asking for anything in return. Because you're a female, right? Especially if you're around a guy, and we'll just call a spade like a dominant, like I'm a relatively dominant force of a human when you're around me, right? Like energetically, there's for sure. There could be a scary feeling at times when you're around a guy and they're giving you a safe space without looking for anything in return. It gives you the opportunity to be so much more authentically yourself. Because I'm assuming sometimes when you're around guys, they might try and be providing a safe space, but their intentions are a lot different than what you're thinking. And so she just poured her heart out to me of just I didn't know that it was possible to have such a deep connection and love for a friend that's of the opposite sex without any other things in return other than just giving their all to you. Yeah. And it was just such an emotional experience. It's the closest I've been to crying in a long time. And those are the experiences I'm trying to not even manufacture. Those are just the experiences I'm looking for. And I'm just so proud of myself for how far we've come. The work works. all the stuff that we've been talking about on this podcast, it works. So like, I'm going to just continue to do that because like the emotions are, they're coming out. And just another affirmation that like, you're probably closer to where you want to be than not. And sometimes you need good friends to, remind you of that.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to have people that recognize the little things about you that you don't recognize in yourself, especially in times where you maybe aren't fully sure of what you bring to the table. It's nice to have those people that can take the time to recognize things that are small, unique to you, because it also, on the flip side, shows that they are just as receptive, aware to, the way that you're acting. And I think when, you're talking and you start to think like, how do you create those experiences? How do you meet those types of people? How do you get to be in that environment where you are pouring love out to the people that are around you and you feel this sense of deep connection? I think a lot of people, and this was myself in college, are so surrounded by energy suckers or people that take and take and take, whether it's from your energy asking you to do things, whatever it might be, always needing something from you, whether it's your time, your energy. If they're overly taking and taking out of your cup, that they're so unaware that, because this was me, so unaware that is literally what is preventing you from getting to be in those rooms, getting to have those experiences. And I remember being in college and having to make a couple, like 2 or 3 very brutal and sad decisions for myself on completely removing a couple of my best friends at the time in college. This was like a decision I made, like this one moment, had this just realization. I'm like, these people are taking everything out of me. And I now understand that they are holding me back from, being to where I want to be. And I had to cut them out and grieve the loss of those friends and grieve the loss of those people. Because for some people, like, this is their boyfriend. Like, this is maybe even their parents, if they like live at home or whatever. These are the people that are the closest around you that are taking from your experience and your ability to find rooms like the one that you were in, where you genuinely feel like you're around the right people, doing the right thing, and you're being supported. And without that awareness of how people's energies affect you, and just even people who are able to notice little things about you and compliment you on those things and really take the time to appreciate and share their awareness of you, is something that, that makes you think like, oh, these are people that you want to be surrounded by. And some people don't have that awareness of, what types of people that they're bringing into their life, because they're not factoring in how their energy is then actually literally changing their path, or
Right.
how they feel, or what they end up doing with their life. You know what I mean?
no, it's so good. And if you don't have the awareness, here's like some piece of feedback that I would tactically share with people, because it's going to take some time to create the awareness. But if you feel lost, but you know that you want to make a change because maybe you are a taker, and I think we all have those parts in us, right? Like, it's a choice to give.
Right.
The question that I ask myself is, how can I be of service? If you can stay in a zone of service, what you'll start to realize is that whatever you want in life, all you have to do is give it away first, right. And then it starts to receive it. So that like, I've adhered to those principles for so long without even knowing it. And then that's the reason why I started to conceptualize this, because I started to get results from it, was like, let me just give and give and give and give. It's the irony, because like, you think that you're never going to be able to take. It's like, oh, what's in it for me? But it's in it for you once you start giving. 1, it feels really good. And 2, people start to reciprocate.
Yeah.
So the winning through giving is like, that is the play.
Yeah.
That is the only way.
Yeah.
There's no room for takers. There's no room for takers. You have to be a depositor of the relationship. So eventually you can organically withdraw, because you need things.
Right.
Like, you need to be able to, quote unquote, take things from relationships. People need to be giving you energy. But at first, you got to be in the space of giving. And then when you're around the right people, they understand the same principles,
Right.
and they start to organically give back to you. And there's this beautiful symbiotic relationship. And over time, it's telepathic.
Right.
No one needs to even communicate it through, just besides like, you just feel the energy around it. It's a pretty cool world. It's a pretty cool world.
Yeah, it's interesting because you end up learning through giving what people are only receiving and what people are willing to reciprocate the relationship.
Yep.
And then just naturally, you don't even necessarily think about it. You veer off in towards the people that are reciprocating, because the people that are taking are never depositing enough for you to want to maintain that relationship.
Yep.
So then just naturally you end up just going through with these relationships that are equal, that people have the same understanding of what it takes to build a good relationship with someone or operate at a higher frequency. And you just end up finding that natural life path. And I think it starts with doing a self-audit of the people that are currently around you. And first of all, maybe self-awareness.
Yep.
You know, what are you taking a lot from people? Because for sure, I can think back to specific times in my life where I was totally taking more than I was giving. 100% times where I've been, you know, just emotionally depressed, like going through when COVID in college was like the most depressing time of my life. I was definitely a taker and refused to give or did not have the wherewithal to, right? So you have those moments too, and you can have those experiences, but it's only when you learn how to operate with this idea of just how to make the people around you better, even if it's just in the elevator, in the hallway, or from some person that you met one time, and just going out of your way to be of service to people. That's when you start to learn how few people that you're currently surrounded by actually do the same thing.
Yeah, that's really good. And don't get it twisted. Like, even though we're both aware of these principles and live our life in service to others a very large majority of the time, there are still times in my life where the first thought in my head is like, what's in it for me? What can I take? It's not about immediately eradicating it, because like I think it's extremely hard, unless you're like a monk, to just completely eradicate the desire to take, because it's just in our human nature. We're flawed beings. That's just a part of it, right? That being said, once you create awareness and start building the muscle, you're able to turn that immediate desire into something where you're like, oh, nope, I know better. And just keep switching, turning the switch.
Yeah.
So this is, I think some people will watch this, and I would say if we're addressing my 22-year-old self, there's young aspiring entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs or whoever, maybe my mom's watching this.
Hey, Mom.
They'll wonder, like, how the hell does this translate to business? Every single thing that we said is the formula for business. This is literally the only thing. This is like, people are like, oh, like, what's your guys' strategy for marketing and all this stuff? Like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I'm known for, and this is what I want to be known for better than anyone in the world. Right. This is the exact playbook I want to be known for running, because I think this is the way that life should be lived. This is the way that entrepreneurship should be done, because every single person can win. The markets are big enough for every single person to win. Right. And it doesn't always have to be a zero-sum game.
Yeah, so I like that. And I think, we are now in, obviously with social media, this fast-paced environment where obviously people get, unbelievably overwhelmed and bombarded with, here's how to scale a business in 5 days. Here's how to be a millionaire on crypto. The list goes on and on and on of these people trying to kind of fast hack their way into success, AKA where they want to be in life, aligning that with like, this is going to make me happy, whatever. And at the end of the day, you can learn the tactical systems in order to build what you want to build, but without doing the internal work of where you want to be and what you want to do and how you want to help and who you want to serve in the world, then you're not going to even know where to start with building, your business, whatever that might be. So even if you're starting with nothing, or you are in college, or you have a job, or whatever it is, if you don't understand what your purpose is, or you don't understand like what you want to be in the world or how you want to help, maybe not to a perfect degree, but just thinking from that greater lens, and you're just thinking about, oh, well, how do I scale a business? And then you're going on Instagram Reels and trying to learn how to start a business in 90 seconds. You're operating from the how instead of, really trying to figure out the why and the who you are and all of these things that are so, so, so important to kind of build foundationally first.
It's really good. It's really good. I wish I could go back and tell my previous self that there's a better way to build. Like building, when you add purpose into it, is a game changer. Like that there's another level of energy that the business starts to feed off of when there's purpose, direction, clarity, excitement, flow.
Yeah.
I don't want people to get stuck thinking that it's a perfect world. I still don't know my purpose. I don't think I'll ever, to be honest with you. I think it's actually stupid to think that you're going to find out exactly what your purpose is. The whole goal, in my opinion, is to just stay in pursuit of it and to listen to God, and then to stay tapped into what you're feeling when you're doing certain things, and you'll know.
Right.
No one will be able to tell you your purpose. You'll just feel it, in my opinion. And so that comes with a lot of trial and error and good intentions.
Yeah.
So
I started my fitness Instagram page my first day of my senior year of high school. And got bullied a lot on my little private school in Massachusetts. And it took me until my junior year of college, so that's 3.5 years, 4 years, to like make any more than maybe $50 in a month. Like I made content every single day for 3 years, whatever, with zero intention on making it a business. I didn't even have the wherewithal to understand that. I'm like trying to do well in my classes and be in a sorority and do this and that and whatever. All I knew was like, that was my purpose at the time, was to be the person that I needed when I was younger, going through my own health journey. And it was something that I wish I could bottle up, right? Is like this just desire to want to serve and just have this clarity and just drive to want to be bigger than myself, impact more people than just my immediate surroundings, make an impact on the world. And not 1 minute of that did I think about generating any money from it at all for years. And then I eventually figured out how to actually implement systems to create that. But like, I think it's interesting thinking back to that point, because it was so blissful and beautiful and ignorant as well, because I didn't know anything about business at all. I was like charging my friends $40 on Venmo to like train them in my college gym, like whatever. That was all I knew about business before I like started anything. And so, you know, making sure that I'm constantly thinking about how I'm feeling in my new purpose right now, and understanding that my purpose has morphed, changed so much as I've grown, and that your purpose is not meant to be figured out because it's not stagnant. Like your purpose will continue to grow as you grow, and being okay and comfortable with that. The decision for me to stop doing online coaching, for a lot of reasons that I won't get into now, was like one of the hardest decisions I have ever made in my whole life, because I literally made that purpose that I had created for the years prior like my identity. I'm like, well, this is my purpose, because it was for a long time, but then it stopped being that because I was growing. I was just morphing out of what I was doing and desire to do something different or more or bigger. And I was very rigid in my ability to give myself permission to grow as a person, you know?
I think that's the way to squeeze the most out of life. And we'll kind of wrap up with that. Is really, thank you for sharing that, by the way. It was really good. The motivation I have to squeeze every little bit of juice out of our life, because like our time, at least on earth, is finite, is the more I grow and the more that I could stay in tune with that antenna to God, the quicker I can pivot the second I feel like I'm out of alignment.
Totally.
So like there's things that have prolonged for years that I knew 3 years ago, just through like you knew in your gut that like, hey, I'm going to have to make a pivot, whether it's this business or a career or whatever that looks like in your life, relationships. And I think the ones that experience the most fulfillment, the people that are most spiritually aligned, the healthiest people, the delay between when they know in their gut and when they make a pivot is so instant. So that's really what I'm trying to continue to refine, is like what my good friend Vin calls it, his belly barometer. Is like understanding inside of your gut, and I go with it. Like, I know the second that I'm not feeling it, it's boom. It's got to happen. And it's going to be some of the scariest decisions you ever make in your life. Because in temporarily could lose you millions of dollars, could lose you millions of followers, could lose you tons of relationships, could disconnect relationships with your family or whatever that looks like. But you know that the cost of not exploring it is so much worse than the uncertainty than on the other side of it. So
wow, I love that. That was a great mic drop right there.
That's what I'll leave everyone with. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being an outlet where I can just ramble, and you always provide such good feedback. I'm so proud of you. You're just such a good human.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Crushing it.
And I'm learning to receive that. That's one thing I learned in Spain as well, is to just receive. I'm actually accepting the compliments.
Doing a great job.
Well, if you guys watch this to the end, thank you so much. I think this is arguably one of the most vulnerable podcasts, probably actually the most vulnerable podcast I've ever done. I'm going to continue to be the best I can and drop into my body, my emotions, all that type of stuff, to just let it pour out. And hopefully people resonate. So we love you. Thanks for watching. And like and subscribe, please.
Bye.